All right, we're setting up for a transforaminal discectomy or foraminotomy. In this case, we're going to come in from the lateral side of the patient, and also we're going through Camden's triangle. We're going to be docking on the superior articular process. When you go through setting this up, we go from the bottom up just because of the surgical field. It's more efficient, and we can close down the field and get everything we need for the case efficiently for the scrub tech, new or experienced. First thing we're going to grab at the bottom, we're going to grab the handles that are here. These handles specifically will be for Kerrison's, articulating probes, as well as other downward or upward biting items. I'm going to also grab the drill. This drill here will be used as well as a shaver. This one's in the bottom of the tray specifically. We're going to grab a long Kerrison. There's short and long. There's 90 degree and also there's 40 degree Kerrisons within this setup. That's depending on pathology and surgeon preference. But with this, we're going to show you how uniquely there's a line, how you articulate these into the handpiece. You can use the wishbone or you can use also the ring grip. You want to make sure specifically with Kerrisons, there's a line-to-line engagement here. You don't want to flex this handle because of the fact it won't engage. You want to make sure that they're line-to-line because otherwise it won't lock. You click it, you just turn it a little bit, you hear a click, push and turn, and at this point you'll see that the item is in line with the handpiece as it flexes. You'll do the same thing with the ring grip as well, if that's what your surgeon desires. For this, and for this purposes, I will put in the articulating probe. This articulating probe doesn't have a line on it. This line specifically is usually with Kerrison specifically. As you can see here, there is little indentions within the actual articulating probe. All of these are spring loaded. So if you look at this ring grip here, the pistol grip, I'm just gonna push it in. You're gonna hear a click. Then you push and turn until we get the desired ability of this articulating probe. So when I flex it, it comes out, it's locked. If I don't like the orientation of this, I basically can push and turn it the opposite direction to get where I want it to be. Here also is a bone curette sometimes we'll use to get to the flavum as well as certain articulating surfaces and adhesions. This one is actually you articulate it when you're going to go righty-tighty or clockwise to articulate this 90 degrees, but you need to make sure it's straight first, unlocked, and like counterclockwise so it goes down the working channel. Then we're going to go back into our middle tray. I like to set it back in here. With this being said, we're going to have our long scope. This scope is 181 centimeters. When you pull the scope out, I'm going to grab the associated stopcocks and the cap that goes with it. These will go in here, you snap it back. With these, you're going to be using these on the side. I try to also hold this upside down because when I push into it, I want to make sure that it's seated and turn it now a little bit of pressure and then tighten the knurling here because this right here alone won't allow it to hold on. And this is when then we lock it down 90 degrees. We'll do both of those. And also this cap will work through the working channel at the beginning to help some occlusion. It'll keep some tamponade pressure. Otherwise, if they take it off, the fluid will not keep any pressure. It's only, the pressure is specifically by gravity. In this case, because the transforaminal, we'll be using sequential dilators at the beginning to access Camden's triangle, and also we're going to use reamers. We will have a total of 5 dilators. They're in the corner here. I'm going to pull these up and I'm going to reference this. They are sequential in size and length. So as you look at these things, you have a 2.5 dilator, then you have another 4.0 dilator, then a 5.0 dilator, and then you have a 6 and a 7. And these will all articulate up to when we use our long cannula, and this long cannula will be the diameter of all dilators combined at the end. But as we get through this, it's important to note that These dilators specifically will be sequential to the reamers that will go over the top of them. So as I show you here, I'll lay them down on the mayo, and what's going to happen, I look in the tray, I'm going to grab the 3 different reamers. These reamers are sequential. They're small, medium, large in a sense. As you look here, they're color coordinated, but it's very easy to detail that small, medium, and large. As I get to this, I also want to make sure that I have my T-handle. T-handle are gonna, I usually put the smallest one on first, and the T-handle, as you see, there's a locking mechanism here. This locking mechanism will slide to lock. You can't pull it. I slide to open, and then I'm just gonna seat it. I pull this back, it's locked, and I seat it back. Now, it's important to see with these reamers specifically have cutting teeth on them. When you articulate it forward, it cuts. When you go backwards, it doesn't cut. So we're gonna grab our spinous access kit that's gonna be used to access the foramen of the Camden's triangle. With that, we're gonna grab our dilators. They're sequential, there's 5 of them. And each, as you sequentially go through each one, you'll do a spinal needle first to provide the SAP location, and then you will pull the stylet out. They'll usually use some local sometimes, and then from there we will put the guide wire that's in the access kit. The next thing is we will grab the sequential dilator, the smallest one. Usually there's a line on it, and then we'll grab the second one. As this line on it too, you'll sequentially just go down the guide wires sequentially. So there's 2 of them. So if there's 2 in place here, just for purposes, I'm just putting them next to each other. Then you grab the first reamer. That'll actually go over the top. You want to go counterclockwise so it doesn't catch any of the fascia or any of the tissue going in or muscle. Once you get down to the actual dilator itself, you'll hit the bone. Then they'll go clockwise because that's the way the cutting flute works, and you're going to go to the medial pedicle line. At that point, you take the dilators as well as the handle in place. You're going to hand him a rod pusher. This rod pusher will hold the dilators down as you take the reamer off of them so that everything doesn't come out at once. You'll slide it through the back of the T-handle, hold it in place, articulate it counterclockwise, and pull the whole thing out while retaining the sequential dilators. At this point, you grab the next dilator, the third one, you switch this T-handle reamer out to the next middle reamer, the middle one, do the same technique, and then you would do the last reamer, that'll be 4, the last dilator, then reamer, and then from there, after you take everything out, you do the last dilator that will be the same size as the actual cannula itself for the working scope. And as you put these together, then you'll take all the dilators out, leave the cannula, turn on the fluid, and apply the transforaminal scope. Once you get to the top of the tray, we're going to be grabbing multiple pituitaries, cutting scissors. We'll grab an angled grasper. Leave that on the field. We're going to grab a standard pituitary. Usually it's a large, 3.5 or to 2.5. Here's a small pituitary, or I call them graspers. We'll also grab a straight scissor, and then also an angled scissor. And that'll conclude our whole setup for a transforaminal case.